award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We are in an awesome location today, a new place I'd like to call my studio.
Yeah, I like it.
We've had a lot of new fun studio places to hang out. This is the barn at Miss Katie Van Slyke's home, or her farm.
Yes.
And we're excited to have her with us today. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for having me again. I enjoyed our last podcast that we did. We talked about so much fun stuff, so I'm excited to do it again.
It's been a little over a year now. And
it was before COVID kind of kicked up, so I had a lot of plans that I talked about on that last episode that did not happen. So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to cover quite a bit today. You may have not got to go on a few turkey hunts or something, but you said you had a great deer season, so
I did.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about all kinds of fun stuff. Katie is out there doing it all, hunting, fishing, loving every day.
Yes.
So that's cool. But as always, Mr. Don King helping me co-host.
Yeah.
Got a little horsehair there on you.
Oh,
Let me
sorry
get that
about
for you.
that.
But yeah, we're in a barn here, and it's fun to see these horses around us. Tell us a little bit about where we are right now and what y'all do here at the farm.
So this is our family farm. It's Running Springs Quarter Horse and Cattle Company, and we raise both quarter horses and cattle. We have registered Simmental cattle, and we also host other people's horses here. It's a boarding facility, so we got a mix of our own horses and other people's horses. So it's always busy. It's a fun time.
Well, I've watched you on Instagram and Facebook and things, and you see pictures of the horses. So I know you were very active. And then the last show, you talked about how much you like to ride and grew up with it. So it's pretty cool to be here to see it. It's neat.
And it's been a lot busier year this year. We're kind of amping up our breeding program, and so we have more babies this year than we've had in a long time. We have 3 foals right now and 5 next year. So while I have gotten a couple birds this year, my turkey season's been a little tamer. Haven't really gone out of town because I was afraid that I'd miss some babies. So, but it's still been fun. We've still gotten it done.
Awesome. Well, tell us about a few that's right here behind us. There's a baby in that one, right?
Right behind us is our baby from last year, Stevie. So she's our yearling. And then in the other stall, we have Ethel and her baby Piper. And Piper's almost 3 weeks old. So
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still tiny, but horses are pretty big when they're babies.
And people are surprised when I tell them, their gestational period is 345 days when it's full term, and they're like, "That's so long." I'm like, "Think about how big that baby is when it comes out. It's like 70 or 80 pounds."
Yeah.
For quarter horses, other breeds are bigger. So.
Speaking of that, you shared some of that online, too,
I did.
didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Actually, since our last podcast, Ethel had a baby last year, and I posted the video on my Facebook, and my Facebook didn't have a very large following at that time, and it ended up going viral. It was a 10-minute video of her, and she had some complications, and so we were having to get in there and help her, and it ended up having 187 million views.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
My Facebook's grown a bit since then from that video, so it was pretty crazy.
Well, if you don't know Katie, if you're just tuning in for the first time, haven't met her before, she is a social media influencer. She loves horses. She loves to hunt. She loves to fish. But tell us about yourself, just for folks that don't really know you.
Right.
What all do you get into?
I guess if you just don't know me, I'm almost 25. I'm married. I've always lived in Middle Tennessee, and I've grown up both showing horses and hunting. Me and the horses were kind of me and my mom's thing. While she does hunt, my dad, I'm the only child, so he had to have someone to take hunting. So he took me, and that's been our thing, and it's been a really cool thing to have together. And so I have these 2 passions that sometimes conflict on timing, but I wouldn't give up either of them. So they kind of take up my whole life. And so a couple years ago, it just kind of took off on social media. And since then, I've really enjoyed just sharing my everyday life on there. And it seemed to be a really cool way to get more girls into hunting and getting more horse people to know about the hunting world and vice versa. And it's just been a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I think you got a great thing going. It's fun to watch you on there. And like I said earlier, I'm scrolling my Facebook feed, and Katie pops up all the time with something. It's Realtree or whether it's.
I post a little too much.
No, it's great. It's great. Well, let's talk about the season.
Right.
Turkey season's wrapping up, and or has wrapped up, I guess. And tell us how it went.
She's 2/3
It's been pretty
of the way
good.
there,
I was about to say, this
understand.
last weekend, we're going to give it our best shot. But me and my husband both have 2 under our belts. So opening day, I tagged out within the first couple hours. the last 3 years I've actually tagged out on opening day. And so this year we kind of set up in a different spot than we normally do. So it was a little different. And I told Jonathan, I was like, do not call for me. I'm calling my own bird in. And so we sat there, and he's always my favorite hunting partner. But we sat there, and he's a running gunner. He was wanting to get up really quick when we weren't hearing nothing. And I was like, dude, we gotta.
It's hard to still hunt sometimes.
I was like, it's open in the morning. We gotta give it some time. I know that they're in this area all the time, and so we ended up waiting an extra hour, and this big Tom came in silent, no warning. And so at about 7 o'clock that morning, he came in and gave me a 25-yard shot, and it was pretty good. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's awesome. The opening day kill for 3 years in a row. That's fun.
And this farm, I know like the back of my hand. I've lived here since I was 1, I guess, and so I've been hunting it my whole life. So it's a really fun time to know a piece of land that well, and then be able to hunt it and have success on it. It's a really cool thing.
You know exactly where they're going most of the time.
And remind me, how many acres do you have here?
It's just over 300.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's
but,
awesome.
A good portion of it we can't hunt because of the horses, and we don't really hunt a whole lot in the front of the farm, and the boarders don't really love it when we come by with dead deer and turkey in the back of the, side-by-sides and stuff. So
that's okay. You're on your place.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's cool. So tell us about the second bird. You said you
It was
snuck up on
it was a little unconventional. So I was out here in the barn working, and I think I had one of the babies out, or I was riding. I can't remember, but our buddy Kyle, who works here, gave me a call, and he said, "Katie, if you want to get your second bird, I think you could do it. It's back here behind the cattle barn." And it's a good bit away, but I was like, I will be right there. So I grabbed my shotgun out of my truck and put a camo shirt on real quick, but I didn't change anything else. So I had my boots and spurs on, and I didn't have any face mask or anything. But
spurs chasing spurs.
Yeah, exactly. And so what was funny is I went behind this cattle barn, but he was in the field over. So there was a tree line, and there was a bit of a rise where I could crawl, and he couldn't really see me. If I stood up, he could, but I could crawl and get to one of those trees in order to stand up and kind of see where he is. I couldn't see him. I could just hear him. And I got to one of those trees and popped up, and he was about 40 yards. And yeah, it was done. It was awesome. And so that was a really cool thing. That's the first time I've ever it's been a quick thing where I wasn't out hunting. That's the first bird I've ever gotten that was kind of a spur of the moment. Right.
Talk. Can you put a sound effect in there?
Right.
For that one? That's good. Oh man. Well, that's fun. That's exciting to chase birds in different ways.
Right.
I mean, opening day's fun, and then a chance to do that kind of thing is fun too. I mean,
we've set up on a couple. On the weekends, we've set up on a couple and had close calls and things like that this year. But I haven't seen Jonathan kill one this year. I've been at horse shows or here in the barn when he's gotten his. So this is the first year, I think, since we've been turkey hunting together that we haven't watched each other kill a bird. So
wow.
Or he watched me, but I haven't watched him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's fun that you like to do it together.
Right.
Some husbands and wives, they don't.
We both have our alone time. We like to go hunting by ourselves a little bit because we do butt heads. He's like, I think we should go here, and I don't think that way, and so we do butt heads a little bit. But it's always fun.
I'll start over here, you start over here, and we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well. So no out-of-state hunting this year. I know you try to do that often.
I usually try to go at least one trip in each season, and I had one planned this year, and it just didn't pan out. I think this past year and a half has just been things just happen. You got to let it happen. You know, you can't get your feelings hurt over it because, what can you do? So
yeah.
I was going to try to go to Oregon, but that didn't work out. But maybe next year.
We'll
try.
Next year. Yeah, things are lifting a little bit, so that should be fun.
That'll be good.
I was watching your Instagram channel today actually, and I saw a picture of you with a bow and a blind. So you've been trying to chase turkeys with a bow? Is that
so
true?
After I got my second one, I was like, well, I might as well, pick up my bow and try to get one with my bow. I haven't gotten. I've gone bow hunting in Kansas and here with during turkey season, but I have not had a successful bow hunt yet with a turkey. So I've gone out a couple times and. Have not had luck, so
that's cool that you're trying. We had the archery den on earlier in the year.
Right. I love them.
Talking about how how to go hunting with a bow and some tips and tricks.
I don't
and stuff.
take my bow anywhere else. They're great guys.
Yeah, they are great guys. They do good work and got a nice little range there to shoot and stuff. But I thought that was cool to see you out there with a bow. You know, trying to get it done.
And I bow hunt a lot more during deer season, and we go on a lot more. Most trips that we go on are bow only, and so I do try to do that in deer season. But with turkeys, it's very tempting just to go out with a shotgun. But I tried after this second one. But this weekend, I have a feeling it's going to be a shotgun if it happens.
I think you should. I think it'll be fun. So, Dawn, you wanted to ask her about the deer season.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking turkeys here, but since we had you on last time, we've had a whole deer season pass.
Right.
And I understand you had some pretty exciting times.
Yeah,
during that
well,
season.
some pretty not exciting times that led into exciting times. So we went to Illinois and Kansas back to back last year.
Oh, okay.
And Illinois was very prosperous for Jonathan. He got an 8.5-year-old buck on the day one with a drop tine and with one eye. I mean, it was a big old brute. And so that was great for him. I had a couple close calls, but nothing ever happened. And that was like an 8-day hunt. And so then we came home for a couple days and then straight back out to Kansas. And it was one of those odd times in Kansas where it was like 80 degrees in November.
Wow.
And
That's
so
tough.
we did not see a deer until the last day. Did not see one. And we did all day sits with no reception, no nothing. Like we did all day sits for 7 days and did not see one until the last day. So
I've heard people like to sit all day and some don't like to sit all day. You don't mind it? You like it?
I don't mind it. You know, like I heard a lot of girls tell me that they don't like it because the bladder thing. And, you know, I think the years of traveling to horse shows and it being like 12-hour drives and, you know, having to hold it and stuff like that has prepared me for this day.
Dads never want to stop.
Exactly. Right? And so I think that was the training I needed. And so every now and then if we do a long day sit, I was joking about it because in Illinois I had to get out and go to the bathroom one day and I was like, there's a scrape over there. So I went and peed and scraped. But, you know, whatever. But yeah, I like to do all day sits at least when we're out of town because I feel like you get the most out of it. At home I don't as much. But
so no luck there. Kansas
no luck there.
Kind of hot.
So
but,
you're coming back home.
Came back home and weather was perfect. Rut was kicking up. It was mid-November and I was like, Daddy, we haven't hunted at all this year. We hunted like once last year. Let's go hunting together. And so we went hunting one morning. I think Jonathan couldn't go with me or something. And I was like, I just want to go sit with my dad in a box blind and just have a morning with him. Because, you know, he's the one that got me into it. I really like to at least hunt with him once every year. And I'd been hunting with my bow, so I swapped for my rifle just to go hunting with him. And I think we had been in an old box blind. It's been there like my whole life. I used to take naps in the bottom of it when I was like a little kid. And so we're sitting there and we saw a little buck come by and, you know, we were talking about it, how we're going to let it pass and everything. And then we see does from our left just sprinting down this hill towards us. And we're like, something's after them.
Something's up.
So we were sitting there looking and I kind of looked over at the smaller buck because he was, you know, kind of doing some, I can't remember what he was doing, but I was looking over there and Dad said, shooter. And my dad never says shooter. He's always like, let it pass. You know, he makes jokes about it, needing one more year about every buck I kill. So when he told me it was a shooter, I was like, oh my gosh. So I look over and the biggest deer I've ever seen is standing there. And I was like, don't look at his rack. Just do not look at his rack. And so it was a quick thing where I kind of blacked out, I think, and I had to take my gun and lay over my dad to get to him because he was on my dad's side.
Oh, yeah.
And I lined up on him, and my dad afterwards said, if you hadn't shot him, I was about to pull the trigger because that thing's the biggest thing I've ever seen. So it ended up working out for me. And then I don't know if you remember seeing the picture. My dad had a little buck as well that day, and it's because when we got out of the stand to go find him, I was looking around and I saw his rack and I said, Dad, like I found him. And he was like, shh. And we looked over and there was a buck that we hadn't seen and he was laying there and had a big gash in his neck. And we were like, what happened there? And my dad was like, well, regardless, he's not making it. So he went ahead and burnt a buck tag on him. And we got up to him. We think it's a gore. We think he was fighting and got a gore in his neck or something like that. But
maybe with your buck.
Honestly, maybe. There wasn't any blood on my buck's rack. But, you know, we saw so much action that morning. You know, who knows what happened. And but we got up to my buck, and it was a 157-inch 11-pointer. So,
wow.
You know, we've had a couple 160 pluses come off this property. My mom was one of them. But that's the third largest buck that's ever come off the property. So
That's cool. Had you seen him before?
we had.
Okay.
We watched him for 3 years. We called him Juge. I don't know if you remember the old Incomplete Deer Hunters with Jeff Foxworthy, but he used to say that he juged a deer, and so we always joke about that. So we called him Juge because we wanted to juge him. And so we it was a full circle moment too, doing it with my dad, and then it being a deer that I've watched and had encounters with and passed on in years previous. So it was a cool moment.
And then you doubled, even though you didn't want to.
Even though it wasn't a great double, it was still a cool double. We've never done that before. So
yeah, and he gave up his shoulder or his back. So
yes, he did. I mean, that's a true daddy right there.
That's what dads and
special moments.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a very cool thing.
That's awesome. And to do it in the blind that you took naps in when you were hunting with
it was a very, I like to say, it was a very full circle moment, so it was cool.
Fun.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's memories that you want to try to keep producing,
right,
and pass on.
And me and Jonathan talk about all the time, when we have kids, the things we're going to do with them. And I'm like, we're going to be fighting over who takes them hunting for the first time. I'm like, we're going to have to build some extra big blinds so that we can both go with them. But it's all fun, and it's a great thing to get families out together. So
yeah. Well, speaking of getting families out and introducing people and educating, there's a new platform that we're putting out.
Right, you were telling me about it.
Yeah, we've announced it actually today, and it's on. You can check it out on our Facebook page or our Instagram, all our social media. But it's called Tennessee Outdoor Community, and it's a place where people can go connect. If you don't know anything about hunting but want to get into it, that's a great place to go. It's a new forum there, so there's a lot of different options to get in there and just start chatting and create you an account and jump in there. It's a fun place to
start reading and
yeah.
And a lot of times I'll go on forums like that and just look. I won't necessarily ask a question,
right.
but somebody else has asked the question that I've always wanted to ask. So so it's a great place to go learn and
I get asked all the time. How do I get into hunting? I don't have parents that were in hunting, and I don't have a husband or a spouse that does it. How do I get into hunting? And that's a great way because I feel like the in-person groups to go meet up with are kind of dying.
Right.
Used to be where I feel like they had programs to get kids into hunting and things like that, and I don't feel like it's as prevalent anymore. And so this is a good way online to be able to say like, hey, I'm new to this, what are some things I need to start? Or hey, is there any other women in this area that are wanting a hunting buddy? Or it's a very good thing. I feel like
that's exactly what it is. I mean, if you don't know where to go, there's information on where to go. If you don't know who to go with, there's people who want to take you.
Right.
So it's a great place. There's even a classified section if you've got gear for sale or want to,
cool.
Get some gear or maybe a little less expensive than what it is off the shelf. There's options there. So
sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming when you're first starting out. You feel like you need so much stuff. So that's a good idea too.
And it's you can kill evidence that you can kill turkeys in just a camo shirt and jeans or whatever you
wear.
It
is. I don't think that's the best way to do it, but it worked out that time.
Yeah, it's a little easier with deer. Turkeys normally will spot you.
Yeah, I mean, if you get in some good cover with deer, I mean, I've shot deer in jeans. My second biggest buck ever, I shot in jeans and muck boots because I was in a box blind. So you can get it done anyway, but
you can get away with it. But so check out that website, tnoutdoorcommunity.com.
Did we mention Brian in that?
Oh no, Brian White. He started the site.
Right. He's got such a passion for sharing the outdoors, and that was his motivation for getting involved in doing the thing and great guy.
Yeah, he's still
really
playing
good.
music and traveling, but he loves to hunt and fish and pass on those traditions. So that's what this site's all about. And he's got a trophy room section on there, so you can submit your trophies for that. And it's a fun place to hang out.
Yeah, some other social media sites don't like it when you show your trophy pics very much, so that's a good thing.
We have a Tennessee trophy room right there for those folks that want to do that. But it's fun. So check it out. And like I said, Brian is a great guy and a great partner in this with our foundation. And if you hadn't seen the show with him, go back and watch that one.
Right.
We just recently had a show with him. So, what else you been up to, Katie? Anything you want to talk about or chat about today?
Honestly, I've been so immersed in breeding season right now. We're, we just ended, but we're still having to breed some mares. And so I feel like I haven't slept in a long time. I've gotten a little sleep since our last foal was born about a week ago, but it's just been crazy doing that. And I got married last year since we last talked, and so
you were engaged, and COVID put a damper on some of that.
It did, yeah. We got married twice. That was interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, it's confirmed.
Yes,
definitely married.
They renewed your vows just that
very
quickly.
Right? No, we what we did was the place that we got married wouldn't let us cancel or move it to the next year, and so we moved it to the last date that we could in 2020. And I was like, I want to be married before then. Like, who knows if it's going to get shut down again? Like, I just want to make sure we get married. So we ended up having the cutest little wedding up here on the farm at my parents' house, the place I grew up.
Perfect.
I wore a dress made out of my mom's wedding dress. It was he had his youth pastor marry us, so it was just like a very special. Like, I think only 15 people were there, and we got married on our anniversary of getting engaged. So it was really special. And then we ended up having our larger wedding later on in the year.
That's neat.
Man, that's neat.
We had planned it beforehand where all of our hunting buddies could come because we were getting married in May.
So a shotgun wedding.
Yes. But you say that, my dad took a picture with a shotgun in our pictures. But anyway, we had it planned where all of our hunting buddies could come because there wasn't really any conflicting seasons. And then when we had to move it, it was like late September.
Oh, wow.
So we had like 2 hunting friends come, like out of the 80 we invited. So, which we understood, but yeah, that was the damper on things, I feel like.
Cutting into the deer season.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, since we talked last time, and Katie may be aware, maybe not, that, talking about getting people into the outdoors because of what we've been through the last year, a lot of people decided, you know what, I think I want to go out and, try some whatever, and they bought licenses. So we've sold
That's awesome.
licenses to over 200,000 people, new people.
New people.
Weren't in our system before.
Wow.
So some of those might have been people that we had many, many years ago before we had computers that could keep track of everything. But anyway, it was impressive that many people were seeking the outdoors.
I feel like that's a little, I would never wish this upon anyone, but if anything, it was like a little bit of a wake up call of like, okay, well, you can't go do all of the, we can't go party downtown. You can't go, you can't go travel. So get outside.
Yeah.
That was a good part of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would wish it upon anyone, but
no, it was a great time to be out with the family, keep the family together, go fishing, go hunting, whatever it may be, boating. You can be so far away from people on a boat.
Yep.
Right.
So that definitely those activities ramped up, parks got full and people camping and things like that too.
Yeah, it's hard to buy campers now.
Yeah.
The prices have gone up on them.
I know. Prices of everything have gone up, but last year was interesting, but we still made some of the most fun hunting. Another thing we did last year, this was the first time we ever did it, we went antelope hunting. That was neat.
Well, tell us about that.
Yeah, so we went to, I don't know, everything just runs together these days. So we went antelope hunting in Nebraska with...
hey, Don, right there. Your neck of the woods.
Yeah, and it was so neat. We ended up getting 2 little dinks. They were little... basically the equivalent of a basket rack 8-pointer to us, but with antelopes. But we decided, hey, we're archery hunting. We're here for 3 days. The first thing that comes out that's legal, we're doing it. And so we both ended up getting almost identical little tiny things, but it was the most exciting we've ever been because we did it together, and we spent 45 hours in a blind in 3 days.
Wow, hard hunting.
What part of the state were you in?
Where did we fly into? Honestly, I can't remember. We go to a lot. I can't remember. But I think it was more western, on the western side of it.
Yeah.
And so we spent 45 hours in that blind, and then I got mine on the second day, right at last light, and then Jonathan got his on the last day. So it was pretty fun.
Down to the wire, another all-day hunting kind of situation.
Exactly. But it was a really cool thing because it was our first hunting trip after getting married, and we were together and doing new things together, and so that was a really cool thing.
That's neat.
That is
fun.
neat.
So what's it taste like? Is it?
It's good.
As good as deer?
No.
Better than
I
deer?
don't like it as much as deer, but we ate it. We made sure we ate it. We did the back straps like we do deer, but with the other pieces of the meat, they're a little gamier, I'd say, than deer is. But we were in a spot with not a lot of sage, and so I've heard that in the spots with mule deer and antelope with a lot of sage, like it's not as good. That's just what I've heard.
Gotcha.
And so we did like a lot of crock pot cooking and stuff like that, slow cooking, and it ended up being really good. So.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So were you with a guide, or how does that work out
So
there?
it was a guided, it was Heartland Pride Outfitters. It was guided, meaning they would tell you like where to go, and they would take you to the places because it was like out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we couldn't have found it if we had tried. And so you could see, I mean, we were seeing 2,500 yards away. I mean, it was just these big open desert land places. And so they would take you out and they just like kind of leave you and say, have fun.
Yeah, good luck.
And yeah, so that was fun. But I also made my longest archery shot ever on an animal. It was 46 yards. I was pretty happy with that.
Cool.
But so yeah, it was just, last year sucked in a lot of ways, but it was pretty cool in others.
And others, yeah. I mean, you got married, you got to go on an antelope hunt, killed your biggest deer.
Yeah. Jonathan
That's a
got his
great year.
first drop tine buck,
There you
and
go.
yeah, it was neat.
Wow, that's cool.
You guys are on a roll already.
I know this year we don't have quite as much planned, but
You
it's
got to
okay.
take care of the horses, right?
Yes. Yeah, we have more family trips and stuff planned this year. So we're going to still go to Illinois and a couple things during deer season, but we don't have quite as much outside of deer season planned.
Does he enjoy riding and stuff with you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's ridden a horse with me since like the first week we started dating, because I put him on my show horse and he started bouncing around, and I was like, I'm going to have to get the chiropractor out. And so he won't get on him anymore with me.
Well, maybe he'll come around.
He'll come down here and he'll hang out with me and watch me ride and video me and, do anything I need for that. But he's not a rider.
Well, that's cool. Well, that's glad you still got time together in the woods.
Oh, for sure.
And all that fun stuff.
It's good
So
to have separate things, though,
your
too.
time away is here and there.
Gotta have your me
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
Well, Kay, tell the folks where they can find you if they want to look you up and follow you on social media.
Well, I'm really active on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So all of my usernames on there is Katie Van Slyke, except on Facebook it's Katie Van Slyke 96.
Okay.
So yeah, come and join. It's a fun time. We do a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah.
So.
Get to watch the horses. And,
Oh, for sure.
And see you outdoors and learn a few things. So that's great. I'm glad you came on today. We're glad you had us here.
Right.
in
Well,
your
thank
place.
y'all for
Thanks-
asking me again. This is a
Thanks
great
for
time.
hosting. We appreciate it.
If you haven't tuned in to watch this show and you're listening on the radio, go watch this one. It's a fun place to check out. So, and you get to see Katie. So there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, hey, check out our website, tnwildlife.org, for all the latest you need for hunting and fishing in Tennessee. Don't forget GoOutdoorsTennessee.com for all your licenses. And you can also do shop.GoOutdoorsTennessee.com, pick up a new hat, right, Katie?
Yes,
You
I got
your
one of
hat.
those too.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of cool stuff there to choose from. And again, we thank you.
Well, thank y'all so much. It was a great time.
Yeah. Don, thank you for helping.
Sure, you bet.
Do all this. And Todd, thanks for pushing all the buttons and making it happen. This is Tennessee Wildcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.